The movie begins with character Laura, a very famous journalist. She writes articles based on real stories, and each of her articles becomes popular, boosting her magazine's sales. Everyone was congratulating her on her latest viral article when she received an invitation from a large family for a 3-day trip to a yacht. Laura was excited and immediately accepted. Her boss had also immediately granted her leave due to her excellent performance. Finally, upon arriving at the yacht, she was welcomed by many important people, and there she also met Ben, with whom she had severed all ties, and she didn't want Ben to ruin her wonderful trip. Ben reads everything from her face and comes to her and says, "Whatever you're thinking, I think the same thing. We have nothing to do with each other. Forget what happened. We won't start any new relationships again." Laura was assigned cabin number 8 to stay here, and cabin 10 was attached right next to it. Someone was smoking a cigarette inside cabin 10, and when the yacht moved, the cigarette butts landed in Laura's room. She picked them up and dropped them in the dustbin. Everyone arrived at the launch. They introduced themselves to each other. And that's where Laura learned that the Edge photographer had come there. The dinner time was announced, and everyone was told to arrive on time. Laura went to her room to get ready and then came for dinner. This dinner was hosted by a wealthy man named Richard. Actually, Richard didn't own all of his wealth, it belonged to his ailing wife, Anne, who called Laura into her room right during dinner. She told Laura, "I'm a big fan of yours. I've read all of your articles and I love them all. I wrote something today too. Can you read this and tell me how I wrote it?" She hands Laura a page. And Laura is shocked to read it because Anne had left all her property and bank balance to the trust. She asks, "And why did you do this?" Anne explains, "I have end-stage cancer. I'm dying in a few days, and I want to be of help to someone before I die." She explains to Laura, "We came into this world empty-handed and will leave empty-handed. There's no point in keeping any of this. I'm going to tell you all this at an event at the end of this trip." Saying this, and puts the will back in a locker, hiding the locker key among the books, and Laura witnessed it all. As Laura returns to her room, she bumps into a bun. They're getting closer as they talk. But Laura stops her and returns to her room, and in the middle of the night, she wakes up to a noise. Laura had noticed the sounds coming from cabin 10. Inside cabin 10, a man was shouting at a woman. Laura heads to the terrace to find out what's happening in cabin 10, and is shocked by what she sees. A man in cabin 10 has pushed a woman into the water. She quickly reports this to Creo. Everyone at Creo wakes up and begins searching for the girl Laura mentioned. But they find no one nearby. Laura assures them that she saw the girl fall into the water with her own eyes. Hearing this, the crew begins checking the guest data. It turns out that all the invited guests, including all the crew members, were present. This leads to the crew's suspicion that Laura may have had a nightmare or is hallucinating. Laura is still convinced someone fell from cabin 10. The people at Cryo tell her that cabin 10 was never opened. She says, "Before we went to dinner, someone was following me. I went inside cabin 10 to hide. The cabin was open, and I saw a girl taking a shower there. You guys don't believe me, right? Someone smoked cigarettes there, and the very first day, cigarette filters fell into my room." She checks her dustbin and finds the filters missing. It's clear someone was hiding it. Everyone thinks she's a liar and leaves. But Laura understands. Something is definitely wrong. In the morning, she tells the whole thing to Richard, the owner of the yacht. At Laura's request, Richard calls the entire crew. checks the guest list, and watches the CCTV footage. But just like last night, he's still worried about Laura's whereabouts. There's no evidence to believe it. Confused, she goes to Anne. She tells her everything. But even Anne's behavior has been strange towards her today. And tells her, I've taken my medication today, and now I won't understand anything anyone says. I'm going to bed. Distressed, Laura goes to her friend and tells her everything. Ben tells her, please, Laura, don't get involved in all this. These people are very rich. If you mess with them, your entire career will be ruined. What nonsense are you getting involved in? You took time off from work. So, enjoy yourself. Why are you working? Laura's thoughts are still swirling in her mind, and she asks Ben, you took pictures of the entire event? Show me those pictures. Finally, in these pictures, Laura spots the girl she saw in cabin 10. She immediately shows the picture to Richard. But Richard says they've never seen a girl with that appearance. No one believed her again. Eventually, she gave up trying to convince them. So she went to take a shower, and while she was showering, someone wrote stop on her screen, scaring Laura. She immediately put on a bath counter and tried to follow the man, but she couldn't see his face. So she asked cabin crew to come and check the CCTV footage immediately. However, the CCTV cameras weren't working at the time, and this confirmed to Laura that something serious was going on. So, she decided to investigate on her own, remaining completely silent. She went to her room's bathroom and, exiting through its window, entered cabin 10's bathroom, where she had seen the girl bathing. That's why when she opened the drainage hole, she found the girl's hair, which she wrapped in a wrapper. Taking the hair, she shows it to Bun, who says, no one believed me. Look, this is proof. I told you there's a girl in cabin 10 who was killed, and now I'm going to find out who she was. She went into the room and hid the hair. A short while later, a prominent social media influencer calls her and says, stop doing all this. What proof are you trying to prove? Even if something is found, it won't harm these people. Instead, it will ruin your career. Laura listens and ignores her. Then she comes to the cabin crew. She shows them the picture of the girl she took with Bun's camera. And the crew members say they ain't seen her at all. She asks the crew if it's difficult to sneak a girl inside the slot. True explains that it's difficult, as they have to pass all the security checks. The next morning, we see Laura standing near the grill, enjoying the ocean view, when someone pushes her from behind. Luckily, instead of falling into the ocean, she falls into the yacht's swimming pool. Whoever it was meant to kill her, deliberately closed the pool gate. Laura frantically tries to open it. But none of the gates will open. The swimming pool is visible from the meeting deck. A woman inside the meeting deck notices Laura and quickly opens the swimming pool, saving her life. When she regains consciousness, she finds Bun, Richard, and the doctor, who was Anne's doctor. Richard and the doctor tell her that they've simply lost their minds. You've worked a lot lately. I think it's taken a toll on you. I think you should rest. Don't get involved in these useless matters. Ever since you came here, we haven't enjoyed our vacations either. Sometimes the CCTV cameras are being checked. Sometimes we're disturbed at night. What do you want? Dora says, I just want to tell you that I saw a girl inside cabin 10 who was killed by someone. Whoever was there found out I knew about the murder, so he tried to kill me too. He pushed me first and then closed the swimming pool door. That means he wants to kill me too. To prove herself, when she goes to get the girl's hair, she finds that someone had taken the hair she had hidden from her belongings. Now she's starting to suspect Bun, because she only told Bun about the hair. But Bun isn't involved in all this, because someone else was listening to their conversation that day. Now that she's defeated and it's proven that there's no girl there, she quietly goes to her room. Moments later, someone knocks on her door again. Laura immediately runs after the girl. The hooded girl had gone into the engine room, and Laura had followed her all the way there. Finally, Laura catches up with her, and it turns out she was the same girl who was in cabin 10. When Laura takes off her hoodie, her wig also falls off, revealing it to be Anne. Before Laura can tell anyone else, and hits her on the head with something, knocking her unconscious. Laura regains consciousness several hours later, and when she tries to escape, she fails, because the girl had taken down the stairs. A short while later, the girl comes to check on Laura, and Laura tells her, "I understand everything. You're not Anne. You're just Anne's lookalike, and you threw her overboard to seize her property. Now I understand the whole game." Crying, the girl replies, "No, everything you're saying is a lie. I just came here for a little money. I had no idea the story would escalate so much." She explains, "Anne's husband, Richard, brought me here." Laura then understands the whole story, and why Richard was doing this. Anne was going to give all her property to a trust, and Richard couldn't accept this. Anne had to announce her will at an event, and before the will, Richard had found a woman who looked like Anne and asked her to give a speech at the event, posing as Anne. Richard had also written the speech for her. All she had to say was, "I and am voluntarily transferring my entire property to Richard." Laura stops her at this point, but the girl, dressed as Anne, leaves for the party. And, too, was worried about Laura, having not been seen since last evening. When he goes to check on her, Dr. Mehta emerges from inside. He explains, "Laura is very ill. I've given her an injection and sent her away. You can't see her right now." He knew Laura wasn't in the room, and that's why he was worried, because he was in cahoots with Richard. Richard tells the doctor that as soon as he finds her, inject her with poison. The girl, disguised as Anne, was in the bathroom of the same room, having overheard Richard's plan and understood that they would kill Laura. That's why, in the middle of the night, as everyone is asleep, the girl goes to Laura and tells her, "These people are planning to kill you." Laura tells her, "Don't worry, I'll survive somehow. But the real threat is to your life. Once you accomplish their goal, you'll become their biggest confidant, and such people don't spare their confidants, they kill them. After all, you're a witness to his wife Anne's murder." Hearing this, the girl begins to cry, and Anne tells her, "But don't worry. I'll save you, and the real culprits will be punished." With the girl's help, Nora escapes. First, she goes to Anne's room, takes the key from her library, opens her personal drawer, takes out her will, and hides it. Before she can escape, Dr. Mehta and Richard come after her to kill her. Dr. Mehta, who was holding a poison injection, chases Laura through the ship's corridors. But then Ben arrives from the other side, grabbing Dr. Mehta to save Laura's life. The injection in Dr. Mehta's hand injects Ben, and poor Ben is killed after Laura. Laura jumps into the sea to save her life, the water freezing cold. Richard is worried about how to catch Laura. Dr. Mehta tells him, "There's no need to worry now. No human being can survive in such cold water. She would be dead by now." Richard also relaxes. But we see Laura swimming in the cold water. After a long struggle, she reaches the shore and finds a small house where she stays for the night. Meanwhile, we also see Richard, who has finally arrived at the venue for the event. He was to share his will with everyone. The girl, pretending to be ill, takes the stage with Richard's support and begins her speech. In this speech, she tells everyone what Richard had told her: I am willingly bequeathing all my property to my husband, Richard. Before the girl can say anything else, Richard interrupts her and tells the guests, I love Anne very much, I have done everything possible to treat her, and I still have hope that she will recover. During her speech, she is shocked when Laura, whom they thought had died, arrives. Laura says, I need the microphone. I need to speak. Richard refuses. The girl, impersonating Anne, insists that Laura should be given the opportunity to speak. Grabbing the microphone, Laura pulls out Anne's original will and begins reading it to everyone, in which Anne had bequeathed all her property to a trust. Laura asks the woman posing as Anne, Did you write this letter yourself? The woman admits, Yes, I did. Hearing this, Richard becomes enraged and angrily replies, How could she have written this letter when it's not Anne at all? His lie is exposed, his deception is revealed to everyone. He must have killed his wife for the property and paid a look-alike to bring her here to confess all this. Richard realizes that everyone will not let him go. So, he holds a knife to the woman posing as Anne, takes her hostage, and takes her out of the house. A woman quickly gets up and tries to call the police, but they might take time to arrive. Richard flees with the girl. Anne's personal assistant, who also has Yad's security, fires a shot at Richard but misses, and Richard continues walking. Just then, Laura comes running in and attacks Richard with the rod she was holding, knocking him unconscious. The girl, disguised as Anne, survives, and the police arrive and arrest Richard. Finally, Laura's mission was accomplished.